Can you distinguish for me the mythologizing of AI versus AI simply being a tool? Because AI is on everyone's tongue today, and everyone's mind, and everyone's fear.
It's kind of like Trump and AI. People can't stop talking about those two things on any given news cycle.
Yeah, and they're both hollow. So a couple things about AI. Let me propose to you something. If I show you some object, there's more than one way to think about that object, right? Would you agree with that? Like if I say, get me directions to this place, one way is with a map where you see it, and another way is with step-by-step directions, and they're equivalent, but they're different, right? Very, very basic. So in the same way, there's a completely different way to think about AI that's equally valid, but I think is better in a practical sense. Technically, it's equivalent. And that equivalent way is you can think of AI as a new form of collaboration between a collection of people. So let me explain what I mean by that. Throughout history, the ramp of technological capability improvement has been marked by people learning how to cooperate more and more. Language was the biggest step way early, but then, there's the Gutenberg press, there's writing, and then Gutenberg, and then there's radio and whatever, all these different things. If you look at the Wikipedia as a little point on that ramp, it takes a bunch of people's work and they cooperate together and make this single document. There's some things about the Wikipedia I don't like, but let's use it. There's a lot that's great about it, Now, you can think of large language model AI, the kind that's on everybody's mind, as a whole bunch of people whose work was combined into this single document like the Wikipedia. It's much vaster. Their contributions and their efforts were much less voluntary. There's a lot of things that are different, but fundamentally it's the same kind of beast, right? Now, if you think of AI as a collaboration of a bunch of people instead of as some new entity, you haven't said a single thing technically. It doesn't make any technical difference. It doesn't change any code. It's just a different perspective. But when you have that perspective, suddenly new avenues open up that are amazing, and it's a better way to think about it. I'd like to get into some of the reasons you'd want to think about it that way, because they're very profound. But why do people want it to be a creature? Why do they want that? Why do they want it to be an entity? Well, there's a few reasons. One is you're a young man. You think the world owes you everything. You get paid a lot. You think you're the center of the universe. Of course you think you're making God. That's what you want. That's how you think. That's where you are. I kind of remember being that way when I was 20 or something.
You're describing a lot of men I dated in my 20s.
On behalf of my gender, I apologize. You're right. We're wrong. No, I remember when we were starting VR, we thought a lot of ourselves. We thought this is the most exciting room in the whole universe ever. I remember thinking this is the most thing. And, it was actually a pretty cool room at the time. It started to work. But the thing is, there's a lot of ego in it. But then there's another thing, which is almost everybody in it is pretty young. And they grew up on a diet of science fiction movies and video games. And the stories that they have that are vocabularies for how they understand the world and how they can express the world are all just like this. They didn't have the Star Trek of the 90s, which was this cool, positive world that was socially improving at the same time it was technologically improving. Instead, they had the Matrix movies, and they had the Terminator, and they had the Marvel universe, and there's all this bleak stuff over and over and over again, where the whole race dies, everybody's gone, and the computers are intelligent. It's all gloomy and everything's awful.
There's soon to be an X Prize that will fund any project that will create a positive outlook for the future of civilization as counterpoint to all of these negative futures imagined by sci-fi writers.
And I don't know if you've ever been involved in, I've been involved in a few attempts to pitch positive futures in Hollywood. And it's very hard because everybody thinks, well, if you're conservative and if you're manly and if you really are serious about making money, you don't do positivity in science fiction.
Right.
That's for the rom-coms.
Oh,
wait, so
that's girly. That's girly.
Interesting. So they divide the kingdom that way. Interesting.
Yeah.
So are you saying we would have a better relationship with AI if we just saw more Star Trek from the 90s and less of everything else?
Yeah, I'll go further. If Star Trek from the 90s had lasted another 10 years, there'd be many fewer teen suicides today.
Wow.
All right, that's a claim. Okay.
I can't prove it, but I believe that.